Henri Nouwen once said that without silence and solitude, it's virtually impossible to live the spiritual life, which is a big statement, but it's one that's widely held across church history. So why would we say that? It's because silence and solitude in many ways are a gateway into the spiritual life. We have to learn to be alone, in the quiet, with ourselves, but more importantly, with God. If we're ever going to connect with Him and know Him, which is why we're beginning the year with this practice together. But many of you are asking and wondering, okay, when I sit down for my 10 minutes or my 30-minute block, what exactly am I supposed to be doing? One thing we did want to put before you again is these 10 kind of tips that we've put together to help you on this journey of practicing silence and solitude. But the reality is this: everyone's experience is going to be different. Everyone's personality is different. Everyone's minds work differently. And so the idea would be just to get away by yourself for a few minutes and be in God's presence. That's what this practice is all about. It's not about the absence of something, but the presence of God with you. And so in a very real way, when you sit down in your time, the idea is not to sit down with an agenda or a goal other than to say to the Lord, Lord, come and meet me. And to see what He starts bringing up in your heart, what anxieties you start to feel, what fears start to come up, what sin you need to confess. If you sit down and your mind is honestly totally blank, nothing is coming up for you except for distraction, you can begin just by meditating on who God is, some of His characteristics, some of the things you love about Him, and to meditate on some of the things that He says about you, that He's actually enjoying being with you in that moment, that He really does love you and want to be with you. And you can start to meditate on some of those truths and just enjoy being in God's presence. As you practice silence and solitude, distraction is going to come, maybe right away. And so the idea in that moment would be to give yourself grace. And more importantly, remember that God gives you grace, that He knows we are dust. He understands our limitations and how our minds work. And so when you get distracted, write those things down, try to put them out of your mind as much as you can, and then come back and enjoy being in God's presence. There's going to be significant pushback from the enemy on these things, that Satan wouldn't want you to be alone, undistracted with God. And so expect that and keep practicing with us. It's not about performance, it's about practice as we learn to do this together.